Launch day. When Diablo IV players choose their first character and forge ahead into a new demon-slaying crusade just in time for summer. But which classes will there be on that glorious day in June, and which one is right for you? Let's take a close look at the 5 launch day character classes presented by Diablo IV. Everyone's favorite whirling dervish of death returns. The Barbarian does exactly what you think, deals out colossal amounts of damage to everything around them. This class has unparalleled strength amplified by intimidating war cries and ground-shaking slam attacks that can shake the confidence of entire enemy hordes. The key to the Barbarian in Diablo IV is the Arsenal system, which provides a whopping 4 weapon equip slots. The Barbarian can equip 2 one-handed and 2 two-handed weapons at once and swap between them freely. Hammers, axes, maces, swords, polearms, all fair game for a Barbarian's equip slots. Even better, all the bonuses from all 4 of your equipped weapons always apply, no matter which one is currently being wielded. Different Barbarian skills require different weapon types, which can mean number of hands required or kinds of damage dealt, but the Arsenal system will automatically switch you to the appropriate weapon you have equipped when you activate a skill. The Barbarian's shouts buff and debuff, plus mix in a little crowd control to keep foes where they need to be for maximum damage. Finally, the Barbarian has specializations, Berserker and Warlord. Berserker, as you might imagine, ups damage considerably and lets you get right in the enemy's face, but largely neglects defense in favor of offense. It can even lower your resistance to damage at times. Warlord is the opposite, offering defensive and party bonuses without much boost to your damage output, useful for particularly dangerous targets or solo play. The Barbarian covers the full spectrum of melee combat, brawling, cleaving, frenzies, berserker rages, it's all at your command. If you want sheer damage and don't care about tanking hits, the Sorcerer or Sorceress is your class. This is your classic glass cannon character, casting lethal spells at the cost of not being able to wear strong armor or put up much of a defense. She works best as part of a group, but what an asset she is to that group. The Sorceress molds the elements into whatever form suits the situation and guarantees victory. Fire naturally lights enemies on fire for damage over time, raining meteors down from on high. Frost impales foes on jagged spikes of ice, slowing enemies down and even freezing the target, leaving them wide open for free hits. Lightning can electrify multiple enemies and sometimes leaves behind crackling orbs, which restore the Sorceress's mana when picked up, making this school of magic a bit more self-sustaining. She also learns some teleportation tricks to keep her out of harm's way if enemies get too close. The cool new wrinkle to this casting class in Diablo IV is the enchantment system, which lets you make any of the Sorceress's active skills into permanent ones. So let's say you really love the spell that calls down meteors on your opponents. Apply enchantment to it and you'll automatically cast Meteor periodically without having to manually activate it. The flexibility this opens up is really spectacular, and will have players mixing and matching all kinds of spells to create new lethal combinations. The Druid is a tough, versatile damage dealer that offers power comparable to the Barbarian with a little more self-sufficiency, although unlike the Barb, they do better focusing on individual targets rather than groups. As Diablo veterans know, the Druid's primary party trick is shapeshifting. Diablo IV's Druid doesn't shapeshift as a standalone action though. You have 3 forms you can rapidly and fluidly flick between: Brutal Human, Vicious Werewolf, and Towering Bear. Many skills require a particular form, and activating a skill will automatically shapeshift you into the form it requires. Druid players can morph between 3 forms constantly, adapting to the situation literally moment to moment. Regardless of the form you take, you will also have Woven Companions helping you out, so you're a bit of a one-character nature army. The talent trees at a Druid's disposal include powerful physical attacks via shapeshifting forms, storm abilities that call down lightning on foes, earth magic that raises rock and stone to pulverize and smash enemies, and wind attacks that turn the very air into cutting blades. Using this elemental magic requires generating and spending spirit. Essentially, this class's equivalent of mana. The more basic skills like Wind Shear give you spirit, and the bigger flashier skills like Tornado spend that spirit. Doing huge burst damage, harnessing the full power of nature itself, and never giving your enemy a chance to breathe will be your specialty as a Druid. Adaptable, agile warriors, rogues can slide a blade between your ribs or sink an arrow between your eyes. Either way, you'll never know where they were until it's too late. Rogues wield daggers, blades, bows, swords, and crossbows and have 3 specializations: Shadow Realm, Combo Points, and Exploit Weakness. Shadow Realm, as the name implies, is a stealth ability that not only allows the rogue to enter the Shadow Realm to hide, but pull enemies into the Shadow Realm as well, where very bad things can happen to them. Combo points add, well, combo points to your standard attacks, which can be spent to trigger further effects and skills. Exploit Weakness turns all your attacks against a specific enemy into critical hits, upping damage by 60%. For further stabby fun, the rogue has the imbuing system, which applies extra effects on their weapons. Poison causes damage over time, as poison tends to do. Shadow imbuement lets your weapons curse enemies, and if they die while cursed, they explode, damaging all enemies around them. Finally, the chill effect works much like the sorceress's frost spells, slowing and eventually immobilizing enemies affected by it. The ever-popular Necromancer rounds out the 5 launch classes. As you'd expect, the Cunning Necro raises the traditional skeletons, golems, and other undead soldiers to avoid doing any of the work themselves whenever possible. However, this class is even more versatile in Diablo IV. Essence powers the Necromancer's conjuring abilities, and channeling it into powerful schools of summoning, blood, shadow, and bone can devastate even the toughest foes. The summoning playstyle focuses on raising the various dead minions that comprise the Necromancer's army. In Diablo IV, these minions are more self-contained and less reliant on complementary passives, so you'll have more freedom to experiment with other abilities without negatively impacting the performance of your undead legions. Blood is a specialization involving, you guessed it, blood magic. These abilities tend to drain life from enemies, benefiting both the Necromancer and his allies. The more enemies you hit with a blood magic ability, the more potent it is, so this will be extra valuable against large hordes of monsters. Due to how area of effect centered blood is, plus its health benefits, it can potentially allow a Necromancer to play more aggressively than a caster normally would, so players can mix it up alongside their skeleton warriors. Shadow is the third playstyle for the Necro, which seems to work similarly to poison effects. Shadow abilities inflict damage over time and have crowd control potential. Additionally, they're good at generating essence, which the Necromancer uses to cast summoning abilities, so there's definitely synergy potential. Finally, the Bone skills use essence to deal massive direct damage. The Necro staple Bone Spirit belongs to this skill tree and is capable of tearing through enemy ranks with ease. When combined with the crowd control abilities like Bone Prison, which corrals groups into a small area, this can prove to be one of the Necromancer's most devastating playstyles. Regardless of the class you choose, we wish you luck, good fortune, and legendary loot when Diablo IV releases for PC, Xbox Series, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 on June 6th. And regardless of what class you pick, you're already in the right place, IGN.